What is up with it, my friends in the Melee community? This is Melee and Omni Season 7, Episode 4. Happy birthday, Melee.
Happy birthday, Melee.
Happy 14th birthday. Let me turn
Yes.
my stream audio off. Okay, so...
That's a rookie mistake, dude.
I know. I usually get it right. Anyway, I'm here with Robin, Juggleguy,
What's up?
Tafokints, Daniel Lee, and my kitty cat. His name is Torgo. And we will all be discussing today, Tafo's got some PSAs. We're talking about DreamHack 2015 and the coaching therein, and whether coaching is a good idea to continue to allow tournaments or not.
Cool.
So Tafo, why don't you give us those PSAs?
Yo.
Oh, you stole my line.
Oi.
All right.
Nick, our producer, has put up a nice article on things that are on sale or good value. So if you type in !holiday in the stream, that'll get you your link. We also partnered with Jisoo Art, who makes cool, fantastic shirts and posters. So we have a kickback to them, so check out her store. There's a lot of great stuff, so if you're thinking of a Smash-related gift, definitely great stuff there. SSBMRank 2015, I have passed out the ballots, and I just want to clarify a few things. So I did post some things on Twitter that I probably regret. Not the first time that's happened. So, so TLDR, there will be an Event Hubs list that will come out, I believe, next week, and that is not the Melee on Me list. So there are two lists going on, and just like college football, there are two lists that come out at the end of the week. So I don't really mind that, but I just want to clarify a few details on it. I'll try to spend like 2 minutes max. So at the same time I was passing out ballots to panelists, Event Hubs was doing theirs completely separate, and I felt slighted initially because I noticed that there are no Melee on Me people on the list of Event Hubs, so I felt like they were pulling a fast one on us, trying to like beat us for page views, release it right before us, because that's what it looked like and that's what I assumed. Turns out they're just trying to get into it. They do a top 50 list for other games. They didn't really know who to contact, and so as a result, they totally missed out on people like Juggleguy, myself, to do the panel ballots. And so it was more of an act of ignorance and not knowing that how important Melee on Me's list is in the year, and they didn't want, had they known, they wouldn't have stepped on our toes. But so I posted some things. I assumed some things. I assumed malicious intent. It was just kind of ignorance and miscommunication. So I just want to clear their name, clear Event Hubs out of this particular fiasco with the Melee rankings. They will release theirs starting next week. We will be releasing ours on December 21st. So we will have two different lists, and we can just laugh it off and compare and see like how close the two are, how they differ, and it's more data, so it doesn't hurt. So
Sweet.
And then lastly, S2J, the beloved Falcon main, has joined Melee on Me. I believe it's the first podcast episode.
The greatest edition of Melee on Me history, easily.
Yeah. Mango?
Oh my God. It's been so long that I forgot about Mango. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, dude, super excited. Johnny's joined the team. I think, like Scar said, this is our most deliberate attempt yet to be like a stepping stone sponsor for somebody who's maybe undervalued and could land a big time sponsor down the road, but maybe needs a little bit of a push in resources and network to get there. So Johnny's our guy for now. He fits that category.
Yeah. And yeah, we've always been a group, like, we don't have like a big budget like a Cloud9, but we do have leverage in our business connections and our esports connections and publicity, so that's what we offer to Johnny, and we hope that, I said like a 3-month deadline, that he gets to join a real team that like actually can provide flights.
3 months? That is very soon.
Yeah, I think that's ambitious.
It's quite ambitious. We'll see what we can do.
Well, the way I do it, right, it's like, and I think of this in terms of my writing deadlines when I used to write a lot of articles, that if I set stricter deadlines, I'm going to adhere to them, where If I say like maybe a year from now,
sure.
I'm not going to get working on it until 10 months from now, and that's
There's some sort of phenomenon, right? Sheridan, you probably know what that's called. It's some sort of like deadline phenomenon.
Yeah.
It was always preached to us in college, like, oh, no Johns, get it done in 2 days. You don't need a week.
You will take the exact amount of time you allow yourself, whether it's 2 days or 2 hours. I forget what it is, but there is a term for it.
I'm just going to call it the deadline phenomenon, and I totally agree with you, and it is a thing. So
yeah.
Good stuff for recognizing that.
Yeah. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if we're all pushing towards like deliberate action, maybe it doesn't happen in 3 months, but at least we're deliberately pushing towards it.
Yeah.
So those are the PSAs, and then I'm also excited to say that Zero to Hero did get bought for $600
on the first day, huh?
Yeah. And what was crazy was that there were 6 different people that messaged me and asked me for details about it because they were very interested.
Wow.
Good stuff.
So it kind of makes me question the price point since supply and demand. I only have one of me, and I can.
That is true. Dude, it's become a real thing.
Oh.
But glad to support Genesis, and I think that leads us to our next topic. Sheridan, do you want to take the lead on this?
Yes, I do. The Genesis 3 Compendium went live last night, and I only have one free hand right now, but let me post the link. Actually, you know what? Let me get our producer to post the link. You're on it, Nick. You're the pro. Anyway. So, yeah, we've got a whole bunch of cool things that we hope to achieve through this compendium, and you may know that there's been some, I guess, some controversy about some people's opinions about how like, I don't know if it's Genesis 3 Compendium specifically or just Compendia in general, but Chibo made like a 38-minute video that I saw this morning about his complaints about Genesis 3 Compendium, and so I will be going live with him next week to discuss those issues. So if anybody's been following along with that stuff that has something to say about how we're running our compendium or how compendia in general are being run, then you can tune into that, and hopefully we can work some things out.
Yeah, but Sheridan, I see that there's $4,000 being incremented in between each step, and the value of the reward is not $4,000. What is up with that?
Well, as you know, when you buy something, you're not just giving us money. You are buying something on the compendium that costs money to produce. And so what really our margin on those $4,000 is actually much smaller than $4,000 because there's the cost of the thing itself.
Exactly what I think people don't understand. It's not it's not give us money or you give us money or else. It's here are a lot of cool incentives that may happen with the help of your support and with the profit margins that we make from the compendium. Yeah. It's more like that. So I think from the get-go, people are perceiving it a little bit, not necessarily in the right way.
Yeah, and I have my own opinion about the whole compendium thing, just generally across the community. I really would not like for this to become like the norm for every single national. But the fact is that Genesis is a very expensive production, and there are a lot of things that a lot of merchandise that we can provide to people, and this seems just like an easy way to put these two things together into kind of one effort. And also, the thing is that it's hard to put down as a reward like increased production value all around, because that's really what a lot of this money is actually going to. So you can't just, I mean, if I put down as a reward at $8,000, slightly higher production value. Nobody really cares about that, even though that's really what a lot of this money is going towards.
Mm-hmm.
So just some important thing to think about.
Right.
But I still hope you guys are excited about some of the stuff that we're doing for G3 and purchase some stuff from the Compendium. Stick with it.
Mm-hmm. Very excited. It's at like 1,400 entrants now, right?
We are like at 1430 for
something
Melee or
crazy.
something like that.
Yeah, at this point, I'd be shocked if it didn't top Evo's record, 18.
I don't think we're gonna get to Evo.
Oh, whoa, Sheridan!
I don't think we will.
I'm willing to side bet on that one. You got like a month left of registration, even though I know the next price.
No. So, well, really, we have like 11 days of real registration.
Sure.
I mean, so a week from Monday is the last day at $60. And after that is really the Evo style emergency registration, which really I don't want people to have to do.
Even though it's $100 up from 60, is there anything else intangibly different about that registration, such as not seated or something like that?
So the possibility of not being seated, because I mean, as soon as registration is done, we're hitting the ground running and working on this immediately. So yes, possibility of not being seated. Definitely not schedule accommodations.
Right, you guys are doing some of the high school Friday stuff,
yeah,
right?
So for high school people that need a pool at 6 p.m. or 8 p.m., we're doing our best to accommodate those people.
It's pretty cool.
Other people who have emailed me with some very specific and reasonable reasons why they can't be there early on Friday, I have accommodated. But that's definitely not happening for anybody that signs up after a week from Monday.
Gotcha. I still think you guys will get there.
I hope so.
It'll be very exciting either way.
So. I think if I have to give a number, if I had to give an over-under 50-50 on, I'll say 17-20.
1950. You heard it here first.
1950. Okay.
Are we playing Price is Right?
Yep, Daniel.
No. You got to give us your 50-50 over-under.
Okay, what's 19? So what'd you guys pick?
I said 17. What did I say? 20 or 30? One of those.
Hold up. 1950 after you add on all the $100 registrants.
Right. Yeah. Final.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm going 1950 Melee.
I say 1900 Melee.
All right, never mind. I'm going 1901. We got any side bet act going on?
Dude,
it's not Price is Right rules, homie.
All right.
You totally stonewalled me.
Might be.
Yeah, so that's. I mean, is there anything else really to discuss?
You're going to be doing the 1738 meme.
Oh no, we're not going down there.
I just want to be
we're
literate.
We're not going there.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Let's just say any meme that is, proudly recited by Prince Abu and Kalamazoo is not one that we're ever going to be discussing on this show.
You know what? That reminds me. So, I hung out for like an evening with Kalamazoo and other people. He reminds me of you. He reminds me of... No, he does. Listen, hear me out. Hear me out. No,
I will not hear you out.
Hear me out. Yes, you will.
Take what you just said and reverse that.
So, if you were like kind of a little more... If you were like kind of more scatterbrained and...
that's already like a huge difference.
Kind of more busty in general.
I don't like the way this is going.
His mannerisms and certain manner of speech just like really remind me of you. Just like his pauses in speech and his just like head movements when he's like coming to a point or telling a story or whatever. It's just like it's you. But
this is starting to get creepy.
No, dude, it's you. It's you. Okay, well, whatever.
All right, what's next on this agenda? We're moving to very shitty places. All right. I want to talk about DreamHack. DreamHack was kind of an unexpected big major that 2 months ago we didn't really know how big it'd be, but it turned out a ton of U.S. players went. 20 or 30 pretty decent U.S. players went, which is great to see. First time I think ever that a European Melee tournament has garnered that much interest from Americans. And I want to talk about some of the reaction, results.
And is this the first European tournament won by a non-European?
I think so. At least anything close to as big as DreamHack. Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think PP came closest to beating Armada at Smashers Reunion, and obviously Mango won the one beast where Armada was still in his retirement mode.
Okay.
But
that's true.
I mean, to be honest, that only got like 90-something entrants, and it just didn't have the same level of talent as DreamHack. So I'm not exactly going to count that as a major that was won by an American on European soil.
Definitely.
So I'd say, yeah, Hungrybox definitely broke new ground here, and that's kind of what I want to start with. That's super impressive to me. Do you guys think Jigglypuff is a force to be reckoned with in PAL, or Hungrybox just kind of stepped up his game and is going to be upping the ceiling of his placings from second to like first, if that's going to be a new thing moving forward? What do you guys think?
Sheridan can start.
Yeah, I saw a couple stocks where I think PAL was the difference between either Puff dying at basically the up smash that doesn't kill, and then you're out of up throw up air range, so you kill Puff with like random up smash or backer or whatever. So I mean, I would say like over the course of a game on average, it's maybe worth like half a stock for Puff.
That's pretty big.
Yeah. And I saw a couple stocks also where the length of Fox's up B definitely changed the course of it. Like there were two, I think it was in the same game, like on FD, where he tried to do the downward angle sweet spot to the ledge, and both times just fell just short because of PAL. So yeah. Yeah, I'll say it's about half a stock difference on average for Puff.
Yeah.
Right.
But if you even look at like that grand final set too, you give Armada half a stock, and still some of those games are 3 and 2 stock.
Yeah,
all the games are $100 one.
Definitely. Well, and I mean, if you look at some other sets that Hungrybox has played, like versus Leffen at HTC, I mean, you could give him a free entire stock every game, and he still would have lost that.
Yeah.
Set. So
yes.
Yeah. So I mean, you still have to get within. You still have to get close, and that's really difficult still against these guys.
And that's kind of why I would love to see Leffen versus Hungrybox at DreamHack, but it didn't quite happen. What do you guys make of Leffen's performance at this tournament?
1 and 4 against Samus mains in 2015. It pretty much sums it up, right?
Dude, I thought for a moment that he had gotten over that after he bodied Hugs at PAX, and then he took Plup out at Eclipse. So, in my mind, that episode of Samus struggle was over with, and then Duck comes in and beats him. Dude, I'm so glad I didn't bet with KJH on this, because the week before, we had kind of verbally agreed, okay, if Duck and Leffen are going to play in bracket, let's message each other beforehand and do a $50 money match based on like how well they're playing that day in case one of us gets back out. And he sent me a message right before Duck and Leffen played, but I didn't get the message in time because I was watching the Michigan-Ohio State game. So I am $50 richer right now because of missing a text from KJ.
How's Harbaugh working out for you over there?
He's working out great, but minus that last game, that just kind of shows how far Michigan needs to go. But overall, doing a great job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Juggleguy, you remember this Big House 1. Johnny and Lovich, plays Hugo all the time. And I think they go and play Duck. Granted, they win, but it was kind of a struggle for them.
Yeah, 3-1s or 3-2s.
And I think that, like, when you look at like Plup, you look at Duck, and you look at Hugo, like the 2, 3, and maybe toss in like second tier Samus mains like Eastham, like they all play very different. Like, and like preparing for like Hugo's very footsies grounded, like nail biting attrition game is very different from playing a Duck or playing against Plup.
Yeah, and I think Leffen actually really likes to play the footsies game that Hugo does, and then he tried to play that way against Duck, and just he doesn't play that way at all. He's just like he's playing a different game, and not to mention also that like Leffen's recovery against Samus is pretty questionable.
There were a couple of those moments where the up B fell just short. And I was watching, he's like, ooh, wow, that, like, in NTSC, he might have barely just made it and then racked up another 80% on Duck, or got a Leffen up smash and turned the tide around. But
or when he died in 6 seconds on Final D.
That, he just looked like, he looked like a normal Fox, a random normal Fox for those 6 seconds on FD.
Yeah.
Lots of flashbacks to Michigan Foxes versus Duck over the years.
It's pretty nuts. So I mean, we didn't really get to see Leffen, right? Like he won everything. There's West Balls, right? Because West Balls
did lose West Balls, yeah.
West Balls like got shat on by Leffen like the last time. You know when
right.
When West Balls was there for the previous DreamHack, every one of those sets just looked very one-sided for Leffen, and he lost. So good stuff to West Balls. I think that's more of a West Balls stepping his game up this time around.
Yeah. And how about his Falco Dittos with Mango too?
Super impressive. He's right now he's the king of the Falco Ditto.
I mean, he's just his punishes, I think, really set it apart more than anything else.
That's like the perfect matchup for his style of play. And I remember even as early as like 2012 or 2011 when he was playing PP in Falco Dittos, they would always go to last hit, and he took him to Game 5 at Northwest Manifest. So West Balls has just been doing this forever. Falco Dittos are just going to be really tough for him. I think Mango, arguably, it's crazy to say this, the two toughest player matchups for him as Falco might be Hungrybox and West Balls, as crazy as it is to say.
Yeah.
Wow. Maybe. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yep. So he's going to have to figure that out if he wants to go all Falco like we've been hearing.
Yeah. I mean, I think this kind of reminds me of the situation where you can't skirmish to solve the problem. Like, and what I mean by that is if your opponent knows the definite answer, you can't skirmish and guess and outplay a certain answer. Where Mango's like trying to guess and trying to outplay for his punishes, like West Balls has it like snap, snap, snap.
Yeah.
So, is there anything else from DreamHack?
Want to talk about how Mango did?
I'm actually really surprised about the Plep set because people are saying, well, what's Mango's problem against Sheik? And a lot of his previous sets where he loses to Sheik, it was against Fox, or when he was playing Fox. And his Falco split, I've got to update it, but the last time I ran the numbers, and this includes Plep, Shroomed, and just Mewtwo King, and he was 18-4 in Falco Sheik in just games.
Yeah, I remember like this result kind of contradicted a lot of the stats we saw.
So
Falco and his Fox versus Sheik, right?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, like I think it makes me wonder because a lot of people will go like, oh, what's peak Mango's? Is this peak Mango? Is this bad Mango? But I think he played reasonably well in both sets, and he played to what he was capable of and to like his prior prep. And I think just Plep and West Balls are good.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's anything else I would say. Like Plep hit his edge guards, he nailed his last clutch tech chase to win the game. So I have to give props to Plep and West Balls and people just catching up to Mango.
Yeah. Wow. Is there a case for Plep over PP in the rankings right now?
No.
No, he's beaten more gods this year than PP has.
It is true, but And I thought about it for a while. I was like thinking, like, there might be a case,
Might be a case.
but then I look at the HTC, I look at Big House, and just too many like. Okay, let's put it this way: like, if PP had Plups performances at like HTC, Big House, and Apex this year, what would we be saying about PP?
We wouldn't be excusing those performances for PP. You're right.
And that's what, like, that was the thought experiment that just made me realize, okay, no, it's not there yet. So that's my rationale.
I don't know. Just random piece of information. I wonder if either of you know. So we know that Falco's Dare in PAL, the last part of it sends you at a different angle.
Yeah.
But is it the same power? Like, if you
no idea.
Like the same percent strength, but just sends you at a different angle.
You're asking the wrong person.
Yeah. You're asking the wrong two guys on that one.
I have a feeling that if I were to say anything right now, I would have Mike Hagar, Pontus, and a bunch of the European trolls come at me and say stupid Americans.
You'd have like that one guy in stream chats like, no, you are incorrect. Here's the frame data.
Sometimes you need that guy.
Yeah. Oh, sometimes you could definitely use that guy, but
yeah. Have you heard this thing where like it's faster when you want to get a piece of information on the internet? It's you'll get it faster if you say the wrong piece of information than you just ask them.
That's
another phenomenon that we gotta find the name for. It's
that's like the Hungrybox special, right?
Is it?
Like, look at the MIOM Facebook group, and if you want, I mean, he knows it's against the rules, right? But like, it gets the job done.
It gets the job done, and then the thread's deleted, but he got what he needed.
Yeah.
That's kind of like, I mean, I could spend 2 minutes searching for the bracket link, or I could just ask Twitter and get it in like 10 seconds and have people mad at me for not knowing what the bracket link was.
You gotta phrase it in a certain way, right? It's like, just be like, oh, like, are there any cool like round 1 upsets today? And somebody will like, oh yeah, like, look at this bracket here.
Yeah, I'm gonna. Good advice. Yeah. The big gamble is, somebody messaged me here on Twitter when top 8 starts, because if Mango does that, he's gonna get flooded with messages saying, "Hey Mango, top 8 starting." If I do that, people are gonna say "fuck off."
Are you telling me you don't have a legion of fans, Juggleguy?
They see through the requests.
Oh.
I believe.
They know you too well.
Yeah. Anyway, what were we discussing?
We were talking about PAL. I mean, Sheridan brought in like the PAL.
Falco.
But I think they said this chat has been saying no.
I don't even know if Mewtwo King knows this, because I don't think PAL data is in his thread at all.
Mashboards doesn't have PAL data. Huh.
Are we gonna? Hey, Juggleguy, I challenge you to a Fox Ditto at the next tournament about that.
Disclaimer.
I decline.
That's gonna be the first word when that set goes up in the description.
Wait, why?
I decline.
Because if you watch Juggle Fox versus Mewtwo King, the description is in all caps. Disclaimer. There might even be exclamation marks before the disclaimer. I'm not sure.
No, I don't do that.
Disclaimer. I rarely play Fox. Blah 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 blah.
I never play Fox. I rarely play Fox.
Okay.
I took Phil and Fruit Loop to like last stock in all the games I played Fox.
What?
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
That's called playing down to your opponent. That's called
there we go.
The least amount of work possible.
Yeah.
To have to win.
To get the job done, right?
They're smart. They're very smart people, Tafokints.
That's right.
No, I beat people with Fox and I make them. So no, I disagree with that because no one wants to lose to Taf with Fox.
hey, a one-stock match might not be almost losing in their eyes. They might be so confident. They're like, Tafokints is so free that
No,
I can spot him.
I mean,
three
haven't you seen Toph versus Borp? That was the most lopsided one stock
stocks.
I've
All
ever
right.
seen.
As a Midwest resident, I'm gonna have to try to defend Borp and say he just straight up outplayed Toph for a few of those stocks. I believe it.
well, that's fine. And it was FD, and FD versus Fox 6. I'm actually playing. I play Fox specifically for Fox Dittos on FD. That's the only match I played in, and Sheik Dittos, because I win. This is really embarrassing, but like I'm starting to lose like every Sheik in SoCal and Dittos.
Damn.
And like even like Sokka like beats my Sheik unless like I play like super safe.
Shiragami.
I haven't ever played Shiragami in tournament, but
Shiragami.
I imagine I would probably lose to all of them. Like anyone that's borderline rankable in Sheik.
Damn.
But my Fox beats a lot of them, and like, yeah, I think my Fox beat Kira Sheik in like a series of friendlies, and it was like really funny.
Oh,
Wow.
Tell us more about the friendlies that you played.
No, don't.
I'm just playing with you, Tap.
Anyway, okay, is there anything else? Because I'm kind of circle jerking myself.
How do you do that? It's just like hold it yourself. I don't know.
Okay, European.
Is it time to start talking about Duck as a potential top 20, 25 player?
Hey, you probably know his resume in the last 2 months better than all of us. So what is his resume?
I'm just looking at it.
Didn't you beat him?
Yeah, but I'm like 1-10 this year, so that's one of those cases like,
What tournament was that?
It was a tournament in February. So
I remember that.
I
remember your wins, Robert.
Thank you, Sheridan. I appreciate it. He does have an ungodlike, terrible performance at SmashCon where he got 49th, losing
Shouts to Minty.
Randoms, but like relative. Okay, no disrespect. Like relative randoms, people who are like not even on these ballots. But besides that, he got 9th at Evo, 13th at Evo, 9th at Big House, 5th at DreamHack. Beat a ton of top 30 level players. So I would put him right around 25 right now. And very, very close with Hugs still. Just because Hugs had a better first half of the year. And if you compare their resumes in 2015, they're pretty similar. I think Duck might have a tiny edge, but it is also hard to say because of geographic differences too. Duck is dominating most of the Midwest. Hugs is struggling to get top 4 at SSS because of the region. It's part of being able to.
It's easy to build up your resume.
Yeah.
In a way, like when you're in SoCal, it's really difficult to kind of normalize those Midwest versus SoCal.
Yeah. Normalize is the word I was looking for. So it was kind of hard to compare resumes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
It's like college football, right? Where you have like a team that's like 11-0 in like a bad division and like a
Boise
SEC
State
team,
whatever. Yeah.
That's like 12-2 in like a really stacked region. Like it's hard to compare.
Yeah. So I definitely think he's a top 25 level player based on the body of work this year. But yeah, well,
that might be. I mean, maybe that's a good case for really looking just at regionals and nationals, because now that those top 50-ish, top 25-ish are going to the majority of those. Maybe it's worth almost not really even worrying too much about local performances.
That's kind of what I already do, just because
it's way too hard to get
regional
that data.
Or national, when you're traveling all the way out there and the stakes are higher, just naturally you should consider those results to be weighted a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, for example, in NorCal, Zach is like...
What's his record versus DeWan?
This year against DeWan, oh my god, like in sets, it's probably like 40-5 or something. It's ridiculous. But I think a lot if you just look at out of region results, Like,
Dewan up?
a lot of people think Dewan is above him, and I really have to look at it to.
I have to. Well, before this year, I definitely agree. I think this year Zach has stepped it up big time. I have them neck and neck.
Yeah.
In my projected rankings, with Shroom like barely edging it.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, that's a good example. They go to DreamHack, Shroom wins. It's like, wow, what a difference from the Foundry last week, the week before, the 40-5 record, right?
It's kind of weird. Going back to the PAL argument, I think Shroom's talents and abilities are reflected stronger in PAL as Sheik.
Oh yeah.
Because he sucks at grabbing.
He's not an abusive, like a traditionally abusive Sheik player in that sense.
Yeah, so he gets the better Fox nerfs and gets to capitalize off of it. So indirectly, it actually kind of benefits him.
The down throw nerf affects him the least out of all the top Sheik mains, you're saying. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
It's a bizarre scenario.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, do we want to talk about this? The C word? Wait, no, actually, let's talk about European players.
Yeah, like, real quick.
Give
some
them
other
a shout
European
out.
Players. I was really impressed by Tech, the Puff from France. He pretty much bodied Duck. He really the matchup experience shined for Tech. I think he plays with Sire. I never know how to pronounce his name, but yeah, that Samus player from France, and he did really well.
I really think that matchup is just.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Sure. But it was at a point where Duck could probably beat, in my eyes, any non-Hungrybox Puff in the world, just because there's Puffs that are at a certain skill level, and then Duck's at a certain skill level. But Tech just kind of came in and bodied that assumption.
How often does Duck get to play Abu and like 4%? Does 4% use Puff against him, or?
Yeah, I think they've only played once since 4% switched to Puff, though, so there's not much data there. Yeah, Abu, yeah, he has played Duck quite a lot, but I don't think he's much of a challenge because Duck's like, he's literally like 20-0 or something like that. So that's a good wake-up call for him. I'm glad he made that losers run.
Did you read at Duck's Ego's post after he lost to Tech?
Yeah.
What was it?
Shout outs to Prince Abu for being the shittiest training partner of Puff. It is what it is.
I laughed. So yeah, Tech impressed me. I kind of really wish, like, you know, like I really want, like, this goes back to SSBMRank. I don't want to like ignore like Europeans. Like that's like never my intent. It's just like these people that I'm like secretly hoping like make a certain point into the bracket so people can actually witness them. Like they didn't get there, and I was just like,
they didn't get there. I think this is a great data point to look at, because if you look at the top 16, pretty sure something like 13 out of 16 were Americans. So that just goes to show people who think certain Europeans are being underrated. Well, they've got to get to a point where we can watch them play and break out of that underrated shell.
And you know, they might be
didn't happen at DreamHack.
They might be great. It's just like I'd rather not. It's kind of like the hidden boss effect. Like out of the 60 panelists I showed you on the list, like how many people are going to know about Silent Swag? To be honest, like I shouldn't even have put Silent Swag on the list. Yeah. And likewise, like I'd rather give them hidden boss stats and say like, yeah, we acknowledge you're good. You might make top 100, but we don't have enough data points. And rather than give an inaccurate one, which makes nobody happy, just to say like, yeah, we know you're good. Just come out to more things so that you're more visible.
Yeah, I think maybe Tafo, an interesting idea would be either like right before the list goes up or right after it's finished, do like a hidden boss post of like people that you know are good, but you just can't do their ranking justice by numbers. Probably before, since by the time it's done, people already know like they didn't make the list.
Yeah, there's it's not, the one thing that kind of sucks about it is I do that, and Even with that, I can't make it completely exhaustive, right? Because it's like, oh, like what about this one amazing person from Montana? Like, or like from Pittsburgh. Like, I don't know. Like, and then they go like, you don't really watch the
All right.
Prince Abu would be a blue player.
God damn it, he would
I
be.
used to like blue, but then it's just like this is too annoying to play.
Don't want to be that guy.
Yeah,
No.
and yeah.
I want to be that guy who counters the blue, or
Yeah, so like
find
it's like
something in the meta, local meta.
When I play Hearthstone, like I just only play face decks because I don't have time for anything else.
Okay, I haven't given Hearthstone a try, but I think a lot of people are choosing between that and Magic.
Oh, okay. Hello, friends.
Oh,
Welcome back.
oh,
You've caught me talking with Robin about Magic the Gathering. Say,
might
Robin.
be, might be.
Yeah.
All right, coaching.
Coaching.
All right.
So I think the first obvious question is, how much do you think the coaching affected the grand finals results?
I don't have any inside info, or I haven't watched all of Daniel's interview with Hungrybox yet, but to me, no matter if it affected it a little bit or a lot, I just don't think it should be part of the game. And I think Smash is an individual sport akin to tennis, analogous to that sport. But
they allow coaching.
But
tennis does not, but boxing does. So I guess it's not the best methodology to bring up those examples. But just the reasons why tennis bans coaching are the same reasons I have for wanting to ban coaching in Smash.
Mm-hmm.
From the second that the set starts to the very end of the set, I don't think there should be any coaching allowed, because there's a couple parts of the game. There's the execution, and then there's the mental strategic side. And I don't think the player should have somebody else looking for the strategic side and coaching them on that to help them play the game. I think people should be on their own, on an island, with their own strategy and execution from the beginning of the match to the end of the match.
Yeah.
What they do outside to study and train with coaches is fine, but I believe during a set, it should just be banned.
Okay. So what about between two sets of grand finals? Do you consider that like one set from the perspective of being allowed to talk to a coach?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't actually thought about that one. Yeah, I think that's between sets, and under my definition, yeah, that's fair. Mm-hmm. Although traditionally there's no break, but that's just something that is a little quirk to the grand finals format. So I wouldn't be against it. If I was a TO and I saw somebody between sets of grand finals look for some advice, I wouldn't stop them. But if they did that between games in a set, I would have a problem with it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what about the argument that if you allow coaching, you're going to see a higher level play?
I think that is more applicable to team sports, where there is a lot of synergy and strategy to coordinating different players on a team with a coach. But in an individual sport, I think it is so important that the strategic side be left to the player only. Imagine if you had a coach in chess. That would kind of defeat the purpose, right? That's an extreme example, because chess is like a lot more heavily weighted towards the strategy and mental side than the execution. The execution is literally putting your finger on a piece and moving it.
Right.
If you look at Smash, obviously the ratio is a lot different, but I think the same philosophy applies. I don't want somebody helping with the strategic mental side of the game.
Yeah, and I mean, there were a couple things I definitely noticed that Hungrybox changed from set 1 to set 2. Really was careful about he kind of thought like a couple moves ahead, in the sense of never wanting to be kind of above Fox. He's just like, he planned his approaches and his platform movement, I think, a little bit more in advance to make sure that never happened. Because I think Armada was getting a lot off of just being able to run under him and do whatever he wants, as Fox is wont to do when Fox is just under anybody. So yeah, I think I don't think the level of play would rise enough that people would be able to tell the difference between a coached and an uncoached set.
Sure.
So I think that's like, what's up, Tafo?
Keep going.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I think that's like, if you couldn't tell the difference, just like if you gave a bunch of people like 2 sets and you asked them to tell which one was coached and uncoached, and you can't tell just by the level of play, then I think that kind of undercuts the idea that the level of play would rise so much that it would actually like increase people playing the game, increase viewership, increase whatever, increase enjoyment. And I also think like kind of what you just said also is just I think the spirit of the game is it's a solo game.
Sport.
It's an individual sport.
Yep.
And it devalues the accomplishment of the player and also kind of what we expect from the players in terms of training and thinking if they can have coaching, because then they didn't put in all of that work at that time.
Yep.
Right. And it feels like to me that tactical switch in Grand Final Set 1 to Grand Final Set 2, to be honest, like if we were to go by Robin's rules, right, of coaching, like that would have happened anyway. Like if we were to say like, oh, you get like a minute between Set 1 and Set 2. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me from what I got from the coaching and analyst kind of role was the pre-prep and the actual thing of them. The biggest boost I saw was probably in the emotional support.
Sure.
Of having like a friend there, like reassuring you in a foreign place, because like you're up on stage and sometimes something goes wrong, and then you lose confidence in yourself, and sometimes it takes a trusted friend to say like, hey, like, you're doing well, just like keep doing what you're doing, or like they're cheering for you in a place where like, it's like, oh, let's go Juan, or let's go Mango, like, and sometimes I think it's more like an emotional thing on stage. I don't think coaching is necessarily that beneficial from a tactical standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, just to clarify, the fact that Hungrybox had a coach at DreamHack, or the fact that we've seen coaches at Apex, that doesn't have anything to do with my opinion on it. I just had this philosophy of the individual sport versus the team sport and what coaching brings. And I don't think coaching should be a thing between games of a set in Smash.
Yeah. And then I think the one, so I'm like thinking about it, right? Like, what if coaching comes a thing, and what are the implications of it? And then I think one of my biggest concerns is that when you have an open environment tournament, like, does this further increase the barrier to entry, where you have one low level player that happens to have connections to good players, and and another player that just enters the scene, and like the coaching makes a huge difference.
Actually, coaching honestly is kind of OP at those Arcadian level tournaments, because at that level of play, if you're getting gimmicked, it often just takes one little piece of advice for the entire tide of the match to turn around. I've seen this happen.
Oh, just crouch cancel, up smash that.
Yeah, so I think especially at those levels, you can kind of see it's more exaggerated, but you can see why somebody would be against coaching, because it can change the strategic flow of the game so much. And at the end of the day, it's an individual sport. It's 1v1. It's not 1.5 versus 1.5.
Yeah. What I'm wondering here, though, is so like, I think the emotional support was like the biggest thing. Whether you talk to Hugs at Genesis, or I'm pretty sure that Apex set with PP and Armada, or in the Hungrybox set here, most of his tactical decisions were pre-platoon sets. But like, how's this enforceable, right? Like, I could be within earshot of Hungrybox and say like, oh, you got this, Hungrybox, like, or you got this, Mango, like, don't play on tilt. I think cheering and moral support is part of the coaching role to make sure that your player is, but like, how's that enforceable? Like, are you going to ban me for saying like, oh, like, you got this, Hungrybox? Like,
right. I agree. It's the logistics of it. It's kind of hard to enforce. Obviously, I can't have, coaching police going around the venue at a national, trying to enforce that. But just something on stage, I think that's the best we can do right now. On the main stage, you got 2 chairs on that setup. You don't have 4 chairs. It's that one player versus the other player. I just think it boils down to what we deem valuable to evaluate, right? And to me, I think somebody's independent, like mental toughness and their ability to adapt are super important. And that's why I don't think there should be a coach between games of a set.
But you're fine between
Between sets,
yeah.
I think that's fine. Just because logistics also play into that. It's just it's such a can of worms to try to enforce anything there. And at that point, I kind of see it as you have a match that's a set, and then you have another match somewhere else.
Right, and I think
what happens outside of that is kind of anyone's game.
And between sets, you're really supposed to take that time to reflect on your match. You're not supposed to just be in an isolation chamber until your next match. So
at least that's falls in line with our traditional formats of the tournaments. So yeah, what I said only applies to between games of a set.
What?
Yeah.
Okay, what about this? DreamHack and these outside tournaments are starting to become more influential, right? What if these tournaments like DreamHack allow coaching, and what dictates the rule sets?
Yeah, I mean, there's different tournaments going to do different things. I don't think there's an end-all be-all answer to this. I just think more people need to evaluate what they think is valuable to see in a result of a match, and the mental capacity and the ability to adapt are two huge things. So if DreamHack allows coaches, yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I think more people should recognize why coaching is banned at some tournaments, you know, like Big House on the main stage, and have a better informed opinion about it.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, we've always had the opinion that each TO can really run the tournament how they want, and if they want to do coaching, they can. But we would hope that just by setting examples at G3 or Big House, that would exert some kind of pressure on them to do it. Like we probably wouldn't exert like direct pressure on them, and you know, we might even contact them and tell them our opinions on it. But at the end of the day, it's still their decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, that's not to mention like some of the logistical things about coaching. Although, even if we did allow coaching, I don't really think those would be too hard to solve. Like time limits between games. I plan on having that as a formal rule in the Genesis rule set.
Yeah.
So I mean, and
that's good too.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people automatically assume that people who are against coaching it's because of the time wasted that you see at nationals on stream. There's also that philosophical disagreement with what coaching brings that I'm trying to give people exposure to. Yeah, totally agree with the timer. If you're going to allow coaching, there should be something.
A timer's going to happen regardless of Genesis.
Yeah.
Remember Jabali and CEO 2014 with PM?
What was that?
That was the worst.
So basically, it got to the point where it was getting obnoxious between games, and like they're literally spending like minutes in the game. They're going to the bathroom between games, and this was on the wrestling ring stage, right? They're like on stream, and like half the time is literally spent like coaching. Like there was like one of the matches, I believe, I might be exaggerating it, where like it was like 4 minutes of coaching between like two games within a set. And then Jabali finally just said, like, this is enough. Like, we're implementing a 30-second timer and enforcing it for the rest of the tournament.
I like it.
Yeah. So, I don't know. You know, if coaching is allowed mid-match, I'm not sure what the rules are for Genesis. I would say no more than a minute.
I think a minute. I'm willing to allow a little bit more than a minute between games because sometimes you just really need to think about your counter pick. So I'm probably going to say like 90 seconds between games.
Okay. You have to keep in mind that you have Muta King at this tournament, and he will abuse that rule.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean that's really that's how I try to approach some of the rules making is if somebody set out to break this rule, what would I be able to do about it? Like for example, like we're trying to actually figure out a way for all the people with wireless controllers to play Wii U at Genesis.
It's gonna be tough.
And that's the procedure I'm taking is, given a rule set, how could I intentionally try to disrupt the tournament?
Yeah.
And how much can I do about that? So like we're kind of evaluating all those options.
I like that methodology to it. You're a lot more open than me. I'm stubborn. I don't want to deal with that. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But
I don't blame
I'm
you.
interested to see what you come up with using that line of thinking.
So far, the idea is that we're going to try to quarantine all wireless activity to one single setup.
Ooh, wow.
And anybody that is playing a wireless controller on any other setup will be DQ'd, and if they're already out of the tournament, then their badge gets taken away.
Ooh. I like
so
it.
I mean, that I think should be the standard for, DQs are often issued for punishments for breaking rules.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are out of the tournament by the time that they've
Being
done.
evicted from the venue is a whole new level of punishment that I highly approve of if the punishment fits the crime.
Right. So, coaching.
Yeah, coaching.
I think I'm pretty on board with not having it between games at Genesis. It's just really the only case to solve is between two sets of grand finals. I think.
Right. Traditionally, people have just
like,
gone straight 2 sets consecutively, but I think it's fair for the player to take a little break.
Yeah.
If they want.
And between losers finals and grand finals, for example, I do think.
Oh yeah, I think that's fair too.
That's usually go one. They usually just play them right in a row.
That's true.
I do think there's.
Yeah.
They should have opportunity, but again, on a timer.
Okay, I have a very interesting question here. If one player requests hand warmers in between games, would you allow the other player to get a coach, or do you just ban
between
hand warmers?
games of a set?
It has happened before.
Well, you don't get hand warmers between games.
I'm with Sheridan on this one.
Okay.
If you need to warm up 2 characters, no.
Yeah, that's part of the experience you sign up for, playing 2 characters.
And that's the thing is, at Genesis, what we hope to do is have all the top 8 have their own TVs and their own training partners, and they can do all the warm-ups they want. And hopefully the TV on stage will be identical to all the other ones, because I think, even slight TV differences, like it's darker or like the TV is kind of like curved weird or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess there's kind of some need just to understand how it looks and move around on there before you play on it. But so we're just trying to maximize or really minimize non-competitive play on the stream. Yeah.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm happy with that coaching discussion. Hopefully people are a little bit better informed about, why I'm against coaching, maybe why Sheridan's against certain types of coaching, or why some people are for coaching, which I respect that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, there's no end-all, be-all right answer. We're different.
It's a matter of like what
activity.
You think is...
than tennis or boxing. I've come to accept that. We can't just say, oh, but tennis does it. Oh, but boxing does it.
Right.
So, that's good.
There's sometimes a good starting point for the discussion, but that's not that. It's not.
Mm-hmm.
That is not the beginning and end of a conversation.
Yeah. So, we have one last topic. Did Nick add this?
Yeah,
I did.
Okay. Oh, you add this?
Oh,
okay.
Daniel. All right.
I mean, I felt like it was important.
I think so too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't play the game, but I mean, they're significant enough that we should, give them their respect. Just to give context, I think we should probably explain a little bit. Basically, earlier this week, the Project M development team just basically closed their doors and said we're not going to be developing the game. They took off the download link off their website. And they just basically said, if you want to contact us, here's a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
To give a little bit more background, You can find a lot if you snoop around Reddit, so I'll try to give the quick TLDR before we give our thoughts. Warchamp said specifically that this is not a cease and desist letter.
Okay.
Strong Bad also made a post on Smashboards about that. So.
And then what else was there? And this was really sudden based on the fact that there were other characters in development like Knuckles and Lyn.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of, we should respect their wishes because they said, like, please don't like put out anything that we don't authorize, and people are distributing the files, which I don't think is really right. And I mean, I can only speak from speculation on what really happened. I did a short stream yesterday, and I think my opinion, you guys can chime in, was I don't think Nintendo really directly said anything, but for them to develop characters and have a pipeline and just suddenly have it die off means that there's probably something threatening enough that they were advised to just stop completely, or else something would happen.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's usually, I really doubt it's anything formal. It's just probably like, if it's even anything, an email from a guy saying, you know, completely informally saying, hey, we see what you're doing, that's cool, but here are these rules, and just we can't have it continue like this. So please, like, make the right decision or something like that.
And like whether or not there was an impending threat or any sort of thing like that, I think if you take a step back and just put yourself in the PM dev team's shoes, you poured, you know, years of your life into, you know, creating this game, this, you know, amazing development from scratch, basically, you know, coding assembly, and there's this ceiling of where you can go because of the legal gray areas, which is really unfortunate. And from that perspective, you know, you got to start considering, is it worth putting this much time and effort, largely unpaid, into something that's going to have a ceiling to its growth because of this unfortunate circumstance? And to me, just thinking about that, that, you know, the halt on development is kind of inevitable, and we just unfortunately saw that this past week.
I mean, there's a lot of other things that the dev team could be doing. You know, maybe some of them want to make, you know, the next Rivals of Ether or something like that.
Sure.
You know, it would be amazing to see something like that come out of like a you know, homegrown community. And also to the point about, I think I would recommend Strong Bad's short post on Smashboards just about people downloading, you know, some of the beta versions of characters and different versions of the game and whatnot, and why that's a bad idea.
Right.
And I think there's also a good point to be made that, you know, Nintendo stopped developing Melee in 2001.
They did. And
just because Project M is being stopped, the development is being stopped in 2015, that doesn't mean that that has to be the end of the PM community or PM tournaments or anything like that. It's going to go with the passions of the people who play the game.
It's up to them.
Yeah, and I don't know, I mean, at Nationals, I tended to enter PM tournaments if they were there. And I was not somebody who really was invested in the fact that, oh, the next patch is going to fix this, that, or the other thing. I just played the game as it was. And so I think a lot of the people who play PM also have that mindset. They just want to play a fun game and don't have a huge amount of investment into following every item on the changelog. And so for those people, the fact that development has stopped is not going to be a big deal for them. So I think people shouldn't proclaim the death of PM just because of the development.
And I think it's honestly, I think it's an opportunity because you have a stable build now, supposedly. You know, there's not going to be any more Johns related to patches or
Once
nerf.
you cut off the avenue of complaints.
You've cut off that avenue, and that whole culture can shift to, you know, let's develop this meta and keep playing the game. You know, look where Melee is after 14 years of no further development.
Right.
Maybe PM can be the same way. So, I mean, there's that part to it, and I've also kind of reflected on just how these things work, and it just makes me gain that much more of an appreciation for like how the stars aligned for the Melee community to be as strong as it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Because hypothetically, if Nintendo had supported us from day one, I think Melee probably would have died when Brawl came out if Nintendo had just been like, we're going to move all our resources to this new game and take it or leave it. You can go keep playing Melee, or you can come join, the resources, money, and fame of Brawl. And then same for Smash 4. So it's really, really delicate how a community can grow and die or maybe be revived. And that's just something that the PM community, I think, has to acknowledge and work around to make sure that their game stays alive at tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think so. And like we were in very dire conditions not too long ago. I mean, like when Brawl did come out, NorCal wasn't even running tournaments. And so, I mean, the one word of encouragement is this: like, you have circumstances, you're gonna have highs and lows. Like, you can't change that, but like your attitude and what you do from it is something that you can change. And so that's like my word of encouragement to.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say that. I would just say like anybody from any community that wants to see them grow. Like whether it's Smash 4, writers complaining that their things aren't getting views or their narratives aren't being written or something is unfair between different games. Well, like you can sit there and complain and not do anything, or you can do something about it.
Right.
Yeah,
and that's maybe the one problem I see for PM going in the future is depending on how involved the devs remain with the scene, there may be a lack of leadership as far as who's going to advocate for PM at tournaments, who's going to do the work to get maybe even PM-only events set up for the community.
Right.
If they don't have that leadership, which would speak to what kind of just the overall passion level for the game is in the country, then that's what's going to cause it to decline. So...
Yeah.
The people that want to see this game continue, they have to step up and be leaders.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I don't have anything else to say. I would say that, we all came in without any knowledge of TOing or article writing or doing all that stuff, but we just got our hands dirty and did what we could.
Yeah, I mean...
all three of us, or all four of us.
I mean, I started because... I saw the TOing that was going on in NorCal, and I decided I could do a better job, and there we go. And for Robin, it was probably something similar.
Very similar.
Yeah.
And Nick and myself. So, I mean, you guys can learn it. It's not the most hard thing in the world. It does take refinement, and it does take putting in active effort, but you guys can do it. We're not talented. We just put in effort. All right. Is there anything else that we need to conclude with? Because I don't have anything else to say about Project M.
Nothing else. That's about it. The Lions just got Hail Married on by the Packers.
Yeah.
Oh, did they complete it? What happened?
Yeah, won.
The Packers won?
Packers threw a Hail Mary at the end of the game and won.
Oh my God. They were down like 19-0 or something like that.
It was 20-0 in the third.
20-0. Wow.
That's the Lions for you.
Lions.
And UCLA beat Kentucky in basketball today.
Saw that.
Number one rank right now.
Good stuff.
Kentucky didn't they almost go undefeated last year or something?
They were really good. I think they had
they were undefeated going into the tournament, weren't they?
Okay. Yeah.
And then they fumbled that up.
Stick with it.
All right. I think we're good. We'll probably be back in 2 weeks, right?
Yes.
Let's see. What's 2 weeks from now?
December 17th?
Is December 17th. That'll be right after Genesis registration closes, or a few days after.
Right.
So we'll have some final numbers.
It's
also right before, a few days before I leave to come to lovely Detroit.
Oh, no way.
To see my family. Yeah.
Nice.
And have a good Polish holiday. over there.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah.
All right, we're out. See you
All
guys
right.
later.
See ya.
Thanks, everybody.